Listen right now, my beloved child. Yes, you not scroll past this moment. Do not brush it aside as just another voice in the noise. This is very important for you. I speak not by accident, not by chance, not because you happened to stumble here. I am calling you because your heart has been heavy, even if you have not told anyone why. There is something stirring inside you, a quiet ache, a question you cannot quite put into words. And I will not let this moment pass without reaching for you. You have been trying to hold everything together. You have been smiling when you felt uncertain, moving forward while feeling unsure, telling yourself that tomorrow will somehow fix what today cannot explain. But deep inside, there is a whisper asking, what if I am missing something? What if I need to pay attention? My beloved child, that whisper is not fear. It is not panic. It is my gentle nudge, inviting you to stop, to breathe, and to truly listen. This moment carries weight. Not the kind that crushes you, but the kind that awakens you. There are growths in life that live ordinary on the outside, but give everything on the inside. You may not see flashing signs or hear thunder from the sky, yet something sacred is happening right now. I am drawing your attention because your heart has been wandering between hope and doubt, between courage and exhaustion. And I refuse to let you walk another step thinking you are alone in this. You have asked questions in silence. You have wondered if I see what you are facing. You have questioned whether your efforts matter, whether your prayers are heard, whether your struggles are understood. Listen carefully, my child. I see all of it. Every hidden tear, every silent battle, every brave attempt to keep going when quitting felt easier. Nothing about your life is invisible to me. The urgency you feel is not danger. It is love pressing in. It is my voice breaking through distraction. There are moments when I whisper softly, and there are moments when I say, listen right now. This is one of those moments, because what you are carrying cannot be healed by ignoring it. What you are fearing cannot be overcome by pretending it is not there. And what I am about to unfold in your heart requires your full attention. You may think this is just another message, but I tell you, it is a doorway, a turning point, a sacred interruption in your routine. I am calling you to awareness, to trust, to stillness. Lay aside your rushing thoughts. Quiet the noise around you. Let my words settle deep within your spirit. This is very important for you, my beloved child. Not because I bring condemnation, but because I bring clarity. Not because I bring pressure, but because I bring peace. Stay with me now. Listen closely. What I am about to reveal will change the way you see your struggle, your future, and even yourself. My beloved child, now that you are listening, let me tell you something your weary heart needs to hear. I see what you are carrying. You have become so used to holding it all that you barely notice the weight anymore. It rests on your shoulders when you wake up. It follows you through conversations. It sits quietly beside you at night when the world grows still. Responsibilities, expectations, memories, disappointments, unanswered questions. You have gathered them like stones and placed them in a bag you refuse to put down. But I see it. I see the pressure you feel to be strong for others. The way you swallow your own worries so you do not burden anyone else. The way you say, I'm fine, when your heart is asking for rest. You have learned how to function while tired, how to smile while uncertain, how to keep moving even when you are not sure where you are going. And while others may only see your strength, I see the effort it takes for you to maintain it. There are burdens you have never spoken aloud, regrets you replay in quiet moments, decisions you second guess, words you wish you could take back. opportunities you fear you have missed. You carry these things as if they define you, as if they are proof that you are somehow behind or broken. But my child, those are not your identity. They are experiences, not definitions. I also see the emotional weight, the subtle comparisons, the quiet doubts. You measure your progress against others and wonder why your path feels slower, steeper, or more uncertain. You question whether you are doing enough, whether you are enough. And in those silent comparisons, your joy begins to fade. But I never asked you to carry comparison. I never placed that burden on you. There is also the weight of caring deeply. You care about your family, your future, your purpose. You care about doing what is right. You care about not failing the people who trust you. That caring heart is beautiful, but it has left you vulnerable to anxiety. You try to control outcomes because you fear what might happen if you do not. You rehearse conversations in your mind. You imagine scenarios that have not even happened. You prepare for storms that may never arrive. And through it all, you have wondered if I notice. My beloved child, I do not just notice. I understand. Imagine a small child trying to carry a heavy box across a room. The child insists, I can do it myself. The box wobbles. The child struggles but refuses to ask for help. The father stands nearby, not with frustration, but with tenderness. He sees both the determination and the strain. He does not mock the effort. He admires the heart behind it. But he also knows the box was never meant for those small arms. That is how I see you. Your effort does not disappoint me. Your striving does not annoy me. I am not watching you with a clipboard, measuring your performance. I am watching with love. And when I see you straining under weight you were never designed to bear alone, my heart moves toward you, not away from you. You think strength means holding everything together. But true strength, my child, is trusting me enough to let some of it go. You do not have to impress me. You do not have to prove your resilience. I already know your heart. I already know your limits. And I am not asking you to be limitless. I am asking you to be honest. Bring me the thoughts that exhaust you. Bring me the fears you hide behind productivity. Bring me the responsibilities that feel overwhelming. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are human. And you are deeply loved. Right now, as you listen, I want you to imagine setting down that invisible bag of stones. You may not know how to release everything at once, but you can begin with one stone, one worry, one regret, one fear. Hand it to me. I see what you are carrying, my beloved child. And I am here, not to scold you for being overwhelmed, but to lift what you were never meant to hold alone. My beloved child, you must understand something that will steady your heart. This moment is not an accident. You did not arrive here by coincidence. You were not randomly drawn to these words. Even the timing of your listening is woven into something greater than you can see. I know you sometimes look at your life and think it is a series of disconnected events, missed chances, unexpected detours, surprising disappointments. But from where I stand, nothing is scattered. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is out of place. You see fragments. I see the whole story. There have been times when you felt off course. Moments when your plans unraveled. When doors closed without explanation. When people walked away. When opportunities slipped through your fingers. You wondered if you had made a wrong turn somewhere. You questioned your judgment. You replayed decisions in your mind, asking yourself what you could have done differently. But what if I told you that even the turns you thought were mistakes became part of the path I am using to shape you? Imagine a tapestry being woven. From the back side, it looks chaotic. Threads cross in strange directions. Colors seem mismatched. There are knots and overlaps that make no sense. If you judged the design from that angle, you might assume it was flawed. But turn the tapestry around, and suddenly you see the image, intentional, detailed, beautiful. Right now, you are looking at the back of the tapestry. You do not see how your past disappointments prepared you for deeper compassion. You do not see how delays built endurance within you. You do not see how closed doors protected you from paths that would have drained you. You do not see how even heartbreak expanded your capacity to love with wisdom. But I see it all. There were seasons when you prayed for one thing and received another. You asked for clarity and were given patience. You asked for immediate change and were given gradual growth. In your frustration, you wondered if I was listening. My beloved child, I was not ignoring you. I was guiding you in ways you could not yet understand. Even this very moment carries divine intention. The fact that your heart is open enough to listen means something is shifting inside you. You may not feel dramatic change yet. There may be no lightning in the sky or sudden answers falling into your hands. But transformation often begins quietly, like a seed planted deep beneath the soil. Have you ever noticed how a seed must be buried before it grows? It disappears into darkness. It is covered in soil. From the outside, it looks as if nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, something miraculous begins. The seed cracks open. Roots push downward before shoots reach upward. Growth starts in hidden places. Some of the hidden seasons in your life were not signs of abandonment. They were signs of preparation. The conversation that changed your perspective, the failure that humbled you, the friendship that ended, the risk you took, the chance you did not take, all of it is being woven together. You are not drifting through random circumstances. You are walking through chapters that are connected by my steady hand. And here is what I want you to hold on to. If this moment is intentional, then so is your future. You are not too far gone. You are not beyond repair. You are not disqualified because of past choices. I do not lose track of my children. I do not misplace destinies. I do not abandon stories halfway through. When you feel uncertain, remember that uncertainty does not mean absence. It means you are between chapters. And transitions can feel uncomfortable because they stretch you. But stretching is not the same as breaking. My beloved child, let this truth settle in your heart. You are exactly where you need to be for what is being formed within you. Even the confusion has purpose. Even the waiting has value. Even the silence carries intention. Nothing about your life is random. Not your struggles. Not your longings. Not even this call to listen right now. I am weaving something greater than you can imagine. And I have not made a single mistake with you. My beloved child, now I want to speak to something you rarely admit, even to yourself. There is a fear in you that you have not fully named. It does not always shout. It does not always show itself clearly. Instead, it lingers beneath your thoughts, shaping your reactions, influencing your choices. It whispers late at night and hides behind your need to stay busy. You may not call it fear. You may call it responsibility, caution, or realism. But I see the tremble beneath it. You fear failing in a way that cannot be undone. You fear disappointing the people who believe in you. You fear making the wrong decision and watching everything unravel. Sometimes, you even fear hoping too much, because if you hope and it does not happen, the fall will feel heavier. So you guard your heart. You tell yourself not to expect too much. You prepare for the worst so you will not be surprised. You hold back parts of your dreams, just in case they are not meant for you. You try to control details because control feels safer than trust. But my beloved child, fear is a storyteller, and it does not tell the truth. Fear paints pictures of futures that have not happened. It builds entire storms out of small clouds. It convinces you that you are alone in the battle, that if something goes wrong, you will not survive it. It magnifies your weaknesses and shrinks your strengths. And if left unchecked, it becomes the lens through which you see everything. I do not condemn you for feeling afraid. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty. But I do not want fear to lead you. Think of a traveler walking through a dense forest at dusk. A light is fading. Every sound seems louder. The snapping twig feels like danger. Shadows stretch across the path. The traveler's heart begins to race, imagining threats behind every tree. Yet what if a guide is walking just a few steps ahead, holding a lantern? The guide sees the path clearly. The shadows are only shadows because the light is shifting. My child, I am your guide with the lantern. The fear you have not named often centers around one deep question. Will I be okay? Beneath all the specific worries, money, relationships, health, purpose, that is the heartbeat of it. You want to know that you will not fall beyond recovery. You want to know that if life shakes you, it will not destroy you. Hear me clearly, you will be okay. Not because life will be perfect, not because challenges will vanish, but because you are not facing them alone. Fear tells you that you must carry the future by yourself. I tell you that the future is already held in my hands. Fear says, what if it all falls apart? I say, even if something breaks, I know how to rebuild. Fear says, you are not strong enough. I say, my strength flows into you when you feel weak. You do not have to pretend you are fearless. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to trust me while fear whispers in the background. Right now, I want you to gently name what you are afraid of. Is it financial instability? Is it being alone? Is it not fulfilling your purpose? Is it losing something or someone precious? Whatever it is, bring it into the light. Fear loses power when it is exposed. Imagine placing that fear in your open hands. Notice how heavy it feels. Now imagine me placing my hands over yours. Feel the steadiness. Feel the warmth. The weight shifts because you are no longer holding it alone. My beloved child, fear may visit you, but it does not own you. It does not define your destiny. It does not have the final word. I do. And my word over you is not disaster. It is not abandonment. It is not failure. My word over you is protection, growth, and purpose. Even when you walk through uncertain valleys, you are being led, not lost. So when fear tries to rise again, remember this moment. Remember my voice interrupting the whisper of doubt. Remember that you are seen, guided, and guarded. You are not as fragile as fear suggests, and you are far more held than you realize. My beloved child, let me tell you a story. There was once a small boat drifting on a wide and restless sea. The sky had been clear when the journey began. The waters were calm, and the horizon looked inviting. The one inside the boat felt hopeful, even excited, believing the path ahead would remain smooth. But without warning, the wind began to rise. At first, it was only a gentle shift. Then the waves grew taller. The sky darkened. Thunder rolled across the distance. The boat that once felt steady now rocked violently from side to side. The one inside gripped the edges, heart pounding, trying to control the direction, trying to row harder, trying to outmatch the storm. The rain came down in sheets. The wind howled. The little boat felt fragile against the vastness of the sea. Fear began to shout louder than reason. "You are alone," it said. "You will not make it through this. My child, perhaps you recognize yourself in that boat. There have been seasons in your life when everything felt manageable. You had plans. You had direction. You felt in control. And then, suddenly, the winds shifted. Circumstances changed. News arrived you did not expect. Relationships strained. Finances tightened. Health wavered. Emotions surged. The storm did not ask for permission. It simply arrived. In the story, the one in the boat believed survival depended entirely on personal strength. "Oh, Hardu, think faster. Fix everything immediately." The storm felt like proof of failure, as if calm waters meant success and rough seas meant something had gone terribly wrong. But what the one in the boat could not see was this. On the distant shore stood a father watching with steady eyes. He was not panicked. He was not surprised by the storm. He had seen the clouds forming long before they reached the boat. He understood the winds and the currents. He knew the boat was stronger than it appeared. And more importantly, he had never taken his eyes off his child. "My beloved child, I am that father." When your life feels like a storm, it is easy to assume that chaos means abandonment. It is easy to believe that calm equals my presence and difficulty equals my distance. But storms are not proof that I have stepped away. Sometimes they are the very places where you learn how deeply I am holding you. The winds that scare you often reveal strength you did not know you possessed. The waves that threaten to tip you over teach you balance and endurance. The darkness that limits your vision forces you to trust beyond what you can see. In the story, there is a moment when the one in the boat becomes too exhausted to row. Arms ache. Breath shorten. Effort fades. And in that surrender, something shifts. The boat, though battered, does not sink. It rises and falls with the waves but remains afloat. You see, the storm had limits. The wind could howl, but it could not destroy what was being watched over. The waves could crash, but they could not claim what was under my care. My child, your storms also have limits. The anxiety that surges through you has boundaries. The challenges pressing against your life have edges. They may feel endless in the moment, but they are not infinite. I measure what touches you. I do not allow more than what will ultimately shape you, not shatter you. And here is the part you must hold close. The father on the shore was not merely observing. He was ready to step in the moment it was needed. His presence was constant, even when unseen. You may not always feel my intervention in dramatic ways. You may not see me calm the winds instantly. But I am nearer than you think. I steady the boat when you are too tired to steady yourself. I reinforce the parts of you that feel fragile. I whisper courage into your spirit when fear tries to take over. One day, the storm in the story begins to fade. The clouds thin. The rain slows. The sea gradually softens. And the one in the boat looks back at the water that once seemed impossible to survive and realizes something profound. I am still here. My beloved child, you will say those words too. You will look back at seasons that once terrified you and see that you were carried through them. Not because you were flawless. Not because you never felt afraid. But because you were never alone in the storm. The sea may roar around you, but you are watched. guarded, and deeply loved. And no storm has the authority to take you beyond my reach. My beloved child, when the winds have blown hard and the waves have crashed against your fragile sense of control, you have whispered to yourself, "I am falling apart." But I tell you now, with gentleness and authority, you are not falling apart. You are being transformed. There is a difference, though it may not feel like it. Falling apart feels chaotic, frightening, and final. Transformation feels uncomfortable, stretching, and unfamiliar. And because growth rarely announces itself clearly, you mistake it for collapse. When old habits no longer satisfy you, when certain relationships shift, when dreams change shape, you assume something is wrong. You wonder why what once worked no longer fits. You question why you feel restless in spaces that used to feel safe. But my beloved child, discomfort is not always destruction. Sometimes it is expansion. Think of a caterpillar inside a cocoon. From the outside, it appears still, perhaps even lifeless. But inside, everything is changing. The form that once crawled must dissolve before wings can emerge. If you could look inside at the process, it might look messy, even chaotic. Yet that chaos is not failure. It is preparation for flight. You are in a season where parts of you are being reshaped. The coping mechanisms you built to survive past pain are loosening. The beliefs you carried about yourself are being challenged. The walls you erected for protection are being gently tested. It feels unstable because you are stepping beyond the version of yourself that was created in fear. You are not losing yourself. You are outgrowing a smaller identity. There were times when you believed strength meant never breaking down. You told yourself that tears were weakness, that asking for help was failure, that admitting confusion was shameful. So you held everything tightly, determined to appear composed. But true strength is not rigid. It is alive. When a tree grows, its roots must push deeper into the soil. The ground shifts around it. The trunk stretches upward. Branches extend into open air exposed to wind and rain. Growth changes the structure of the tree. It may creak under pressure, but that does not mean it is dying. It means it is reaching. My child, you are reaching. You are questioning patterns that once felt normal. You are sensing that certain paths no longer align with who you are becoming. You are aware of desires awakening inside you that you once ignored. This awareness can feel unsettling because it disrupts the familiar. But the familiar is not always the best place for you to remain. When you say, "I feel like I am falling apart," what you often mean is, "I can no longer hold everything together the way I used to." And that is precisely the point. I am teaching you that you were never meant to hold everything together alone. The breaking you feel is not the breaking of your worth. It is the breaking of illusions. Illusions that you must be perfect. Illusions that you must control every outcome. Illusions that your value depends on constant performance. As those illusions crack, light begins to enter. You may notice moments when you pause before reacting, when you choose calm instead of anger, when you allow yourself to rest instead of pushing endlessly. These are not small things. They are signs of healing. They are evidence that something new is taking shape within you. Transformation often feels like loss because you are saying goodbye to an older version of yourself. But that version carried wounds and fears that no longer need to define you. You are being invited into greater freedom, deeper trust, and clearer identity. My beloved child, do not be afraid of this season. Do not interpret discomfort as doom. I am not dismantling you to abandon you. I am reshaping you with care. If you feel stretched, it is because your capacity is increasing. If you feel exposed, it is because you are stepping into authenticity. If you feel uncertain, it is because you are learning to depend on me more than on appearances. You are not falling apart. You are unfolded. And though the process may feel tender, I am holding every piece. Nothing about you is slipping through my hands. What feels like breaking is becoming. What feels like unraveling is refinement. Stay with me in this process, my beloved child. The version of you that is emerging will carry more peace, more wisdom, and more quiet confidence than you have ever known. My beloved child, there is something tender I must address now. It is the prayer you thought I ignored. You remember it. The night you whispered into the darkness, hoping for immediate relief. The moment you closed your eyes and asked me to change something quickly. The season when you prayed the same words over and over, waiting for a sign, a shift, a clear answer. And when nothing seemed to happen, a quiet disappointment settled in your heart. You did not always say it out loud, but you wondered, did he hear me? Does he care? Why is there silence? The stillness that followed your prayers felt heavy. You searched for evidence that I was moving. You looked for doors opening, for circumstances rearranging themselves, for visible proof. But instead, life continued in ways that felt unchanged. My child, I heard every word. There has never been a single prayer that dissolved into emptiness. Not one sigh, not one tear, not one desperate thought. Even the prayers you could not form into sentences reached me. The groans of your heart were understood long before you found the language for them. Sometimes you imagine prayer like sending a letter and waiting for a reply. If the reply does not arrive quickly, you assume the message was lost. But prayer is not a transaction. It is a connection. It is not a request placed into a distant system. It is a conversation with a Father who already knows your heart. There are moments when I answer immediately. There are moments when I answer differently than you expect. And there are moments when I answer by strengthening you instead of changing your situation. You prayed for the storm to end. Instead, you developed resilience within the storm. You prayed for a door to open. Instead, you gained clarity about what truly matters. You prayed for pain to disappear. Instead, you discovered compassion growing inside you. From your perspective, it looked like silence. From mine, it was careful work. Imagine a gardener planting seeds in early spring. The soil is still cold. The air is uncertain. If the gardener rushed the process, forcing the plant to grow before its time, the fragile sprout would not survive. So the gardener waits. Beneath the surface, roots begin forming. Invisible systems develop. Strength builds where no one can see it. My beloved child, some of your prayers required root growth before visible change. If I had granted certain requests immediately, you might have stepped into blessings without the depth to sustain them. You might have received opportunities without the maturity to steward them. My timing is not designed to frustrate you. It is designed to protect and prepare you. You also prayed for specific outcomes, believing they were the best solution. But I see beyond the immediate. I see the ripple effects of every answer. I see what will bring lasting peace rather than temporary comfort. And sometimes love says, not yet, or even, not this. That does not mean rejection. It means redirection. The silence you felt was never absence. It was invitation. Invitation to trust beyond visible evidence. Invitation to anchor your hope in who I am, not just in what I do. Invitation to deepen your faith in ways that quick answers could never accomplish. I know waiting is hard. I know unanswered questions can ache. I know you have wrestled with disappointment, but do not mistake delay for disregard. Some of the very things you once prayed for are already closer than you think. Other prayers have been reshaped into something greater than you imagined, and still others have quietly protected you by remaining unanswered. One day, you will look back and see the pattern. You will recognize how the timing aligned in ways you could not foresee. You will understand how what felt like silence was actually careful orchestration. For now, I ask you to rest in this truth. I have never ignored you. When you cried, I was near. When you doubted, I was steady. When you felt forgotten, I was weaving answers beyond your sight. Continue to speak to me. Continue to bring your desires, your fears, your hopes. Prayer is not about perfect words. It is about trust. And my beloved child, I am always listening. My beloved child, if only you could see how near I am to you in this very moment. You search for me in grand signs and dramatic breakthroughs, but I am closer than your next breath. You have been taught, perhaps without realizing it, to look for me in extraordinary places. You expect thunder when I speak. You expect lightning when I move. You assume my presence must feel overwhelming or unmistakable. And when your days pass in quiet routine, you wonder if I have stepped back. But I am not found only in spectacle. I am found in stillness. When you wake in the morning, and there is a small flicker of hope despite yesterday's worries, that is me. When you feel a sudden calm in the middle of chaos, that is me. When a kind word reaches you at the exact moment you needed encouragement, that is me moving gently through another heart. I am closer than you think. There was once a child who feared the dark. Every night, the shadows on the wall seemed alive. The room felt vast and lonely. The child would call out, unsure if anyone heard. What the child did not always realize was that the father sat quietly in a chair beside the bed, watching, guarding, ready to respond at the slightest cry. The father did not always speak loudly. He did not always turn on the lights, but his presence filled the room. My beloved child, I sit beside you like that. In your moments of doubt, I am near. In your moments of joy, I am near. When you are busy and distracted, I am near. When you are tired and overwhelmed, I am near. My closeness is not dependent on your awareness. It is constant. You sometimes measure my presence by your feelings. When you feel inspired, you assume I am close. When you feel numb or uncertain, you assume I am distant. But feelings rise and fall like tides. My presence does not. Consider the air you breathe. You do not see it, yet it sustains you. You do not constantly think about it, yet it surrounds you. You only notice it when it is disturbed. In many ways, my presence is like that. Steady, sustaining, unseen but essential. There have been times when you asked, "Where are you?" And in that very question, I was holding your heart steady. There have been nights when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, and you felt alone. Yet I was closer than the pillow beneath your head, aware of every thought passing through your mind. You do not have to climb mountains to find me. You do not have to perform rituals to earn my nearness. You do not have to perfect yourself before approaching me. I am not waiting at a distance, evaluating your worthiness. I dwell with you. Even in your ordinary routines, washing dishes, driving to work, sitting quietly with your thoughts, I am there. I delight in the simple moments of your life. I am not only present for milestones and miracles. I am present for the small steps, the quiet decisions, the hidden tears. My beloved child, if you quiet your heart for a moment, You may begin to sense me differently, not as a distant ruler, but as a steady companion, not as a harsh judge, but as a loving father. I am not pacing impatiently, waiting for you to improve. I am walking with you as you grow. When anxiety rises, whisper my name, not because I am far away and need to travel to you, but because you need to remember how close I already am. When joy surprises you, thank me, not because I demand recognition, but because gratitude opens your eyes to my nearness. You are never navigating life alone. Even when no one else understands your inner world, I do. Even when your phone is silent and your room feels empty, I remain. I am closer than you think, my beloved child. Lean into that truth. Let it soften your fear. Let it steady your thoughts. Let it remind you that no matter where you go, no matter what unfolds, my presence goes with you. You are surrounded by my love, even now. My beloved child, there is another quiet burden you have been carrying, and it is heavier than you realize. It is the lie of unworthiness. This lie does not always shout. It often speaks in subtle thoughts. It tells you that you are behind, that you should be further along by now, that if people truly knew your struggles, they would think less of you. It whispers that your mistakes define you, that your flaws disqualify you, that your past has permanently lowered your value. You may not consciously agree with these thoughts, yet they influence how you see yourself. They shape the way you enter rooms. They affect how boldly you speak. They determine how much joy you allow yourself to feel. You hold back parts of your heart because somewhere deep inside, you question if you deserve good things. My beloved child, unworthiness is a lie that distorts your reflection. Imagine standing before a mirror that has been cracked. The image staring back at you appears fractured. Lines cut across your face. Pieces seem out of place. But the cracks are not in you. They are in the mirror. If you judge yourself by that broken reflection, you would believe something was wrong with your very being. The lie of unworthiness is like that cracked mirror. It formed through experiences. Perhaps someone's harsh words planted it. Perhaps a failure you deeply regret watered it. Perhaps comparison nurtured it. Over time, the thought grew roots. I am not enough. But I tell you this with absolute clarity. You were never meant to measure your worth by performance. Your value was not assigned to you by success or stripped from you by failure. It was not earned through perfection, and it cannot be revoked by imperfection. Your worth began long before your achievements and remains untouched by your shortcomings. You belong to me. Before you accomplished anything, before you proved anything, before you corrected any mistakes, you were loved, not tolerated, not conditionally accepted. Loved it. There have been moments when you felt distant from me because you were ashamed. You assumed I must be disappointed. You imagined I was keeping score, waiting for you to fix yourself before drawing near again. So you pulled back. You prayed less boldly. You avoided stillness because you feared what I might say. But shame is not my voice. When I speak, I correct with kindness. I guide with patience. I restore with gentleness. I do not crush the bruised heart. I do not extinguish the faint hope. I do not turn away from you when you stumble. I move toward you. Unworthiness tries to convince you that you must clean yourself up before approaching me. But healing does not begin with hiding. It begins with honesty. Think of a child who falls while learning to walk. The child's knees are scraped. Tears stream down small cheeks. Does the father demand perfection before offering comfort? Does he say, Come back when you can walk flawlessly. No. He kneels down, lifts the child into his arms, and says, "Try again. I am here. That is how I see you. You are learning. You are growing. You are navigating a complex world with limited understanding. Mistakes are not proof of worthlessness. They are part of development. Regret can teach you, but it does not own you. My beloved child, release the belief that you must earn my love. Release the thought that you are too void to be used for good. Release the fear that your past has permanently labeled you. When you feel unworthy, bring that feeling into the light. Speak it honestly, and then listen as I remind you of truth. You are chosen, not by accident but by intention. You are seen, not with scrutiny but with affection. You are valued, not for what you produce but for who you are. Walk differently knowing this. Speak differently knowing this. Dream differently knowing this. The cracked mirror does not define you. My love does, and my love does not waver. My beloved child, this is not just another moment in your day. This is a turning point. You have listened through the storm, through the fear, through the quiet lies that tried to settle in your heart. You have allowed my words to reach places you normally guard. And now, you stand at a gentle crossroads. Not a crossroads of panic, but of decision. Not a place of pressure, but of invitation. A turning point does not always look dramatic. There may be no visible sign that something has shifted, but inside you, something is awakening. You are beginning to see yourself differently. You are beginning to question the fears that once ruled you. You are sensing that you do not have to carry everything alone. That awareness is sacred. Right now, you have a choice. You can return to old patterns, to familiar anxieties, to carrying burdens in silence. Or you can lean into trust. You can release control inch by inch. You can allow my presence to guide you instead of your fear. This turning point is not about perfection. It is about surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up your dreams. It means placing them in hands stronger than yours. It means saying, "I do not see the full path, but I trust the one who does." It means loosening your grip on outcomes and tightening your connection to me. There is a quiet courage rising within you even now. You may feel it as a small warmth in your chest, a subtle steadiness in your thoughts. That is what happens when truth begins to replace fear. That is what happens when you realize you are deeply loved and not alone. My beloved child, do not underestimate this moment. The smallest decision to trust can redirect the course of your life. The smallest act of surrender can open space for peace to enter. When you choose to believe that I am with you, that I am for you, that I am guiding you, something inside you aligns. And as you step into this turning point, I want you to understand something more. This message, this channel, this space where my voice reaches hearts across the world, it is not random. It is a river. River carrying hope into dry places, light into weary souls, strength into trembling hearts. If these words have stirred something inside you, if you feel peace rising where fear once sat, then hear me clearly. Do not keep that river flowing alone in silence. When you give through super thanks, when you become a member, when you sow through the PayPal link placed in the description, and even in the QR code within this video, you are not supporting a platform. You are releasing living water to reach another of my children who feels lost tonight. I tell you in truth, what you sow becomes a harvest. When you release a seed into this work, you are lighting a lamp in someone else's darkness. You are placing oil in a vessel that carries my word further than you can see. This is your moment of response. Let your giving be worship. Let it be faith in action. As it is written, I love a cheerful giver, and I multiply what is placed in my hands. Step forward now. Sow into this mission. Become part of the light I am spreading. This turning point is not only about what I will do in you. It is also about what I will do through you. Choose trust. Choose surrender. Choose to move with me. Something new begins here. My beloved child, now that you stand at this turning point, I ask you to do something simple, yet powerful. Lay it down. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel stronger. Not when you have everything figured out. Lay it down now. You have carried worries as if they were assignments. You have treated anxiety like responsibility. You have held on to outcomes as though the future depended entirely on your grip. And your hands are tired. I do not say this with criticism. I say it with tenderness. I see how hard you have tried. I see the late nights of overthinking. I see the way your shoulders tense when uncertainty appears. I see how you replay conversations, trying to fix them after they are already finished. You have been gripping life tightly, hoping control would create safety. But control has only created exhaustion. Imagine a child holding a heavy backpack filled with stones. The straps dig into small shoulders. The child insists on carrying it because it feels important. When the father gently says, "Give it to me," the child hesitates. Not because the load is light, but because it has become familiar. Some of your burdens feel familiar. Worry has become routine. Self-doubt has become predictable. Even stress has started to feel normal. And when something is familiar, it can feel strange to release it, even if it hurts you. But my beloved child, familiar does not mean necessary. Lay down the fear that you will not be enough. Lay down the pressure to meet everyone's expectations. Lay down the regret that keeps replaying old scenes in your mind. Lay down the need to understand every detail before taking the next step. You were never designed to carry all of that. Surrender is not weakness. It is trust in action. It is the quiet decision to believe that I am capable of holding what overwhelms you. When you lay something down before me, you are not abandoning responsibility. You are transferring weight. There is an exchange waiting for you. When you give me your anxiety, I give you peace. When you release your striving, I give you steadiness. When you let go of shame, I give you freedom. This exchange is not symbolic. It is real. But it requires willingness. You cannot receive what your hands are too full to hold. Right now, I want you to picture the heaviest thought on your mind. The one that returns again and again. The one that tightens your chest. Hold it in your imagination. Feel its weight. Acknowledge it honestly. Now imagine opening your hands. See me standing before you, not distant, not impatient, but present. My hands are strong. They are steady. They are capable of carrying what you cannot. When you place that burden into my hands, it does not fall to the ground. It does not disappear into emptiness. It rests securely with me. You may feel a strange emptiness at first, as if something is missing. That is because you are not used to being unburdened. But that space is not meant to remain empty. It will be filled with trust. Trust does not mean you will have all the answers tomorrow. It means you will no longer be crushed by the questions today. Trust means you wake up and say, I will do my part, and I will let God handle what I cannot control. My beloved child, you do not have to fix everything. You do not have to foresee every possibility. You do not have to solve problems that have not even arrived. Lay it down. Return to this act as often as needed. If worry tries to crawl back into your hands, release it again. If fear resurfaces, surrender it again. This is not a one-time gesture. It is a rhythm, a daily decision to trust me more than your anxiety. Feel your shoulders loosen. Feel your breathing slow. That lightness you sense is not illusion. It is what happens when you stop carrying what was never meant for you. You are still responsible for your steps, but you are not responsible for the entire road. Lay it down, my beloved child, and walk forward lighter than before. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life that feel like a wilderness, not a place of comfort, not a place of applause, not a place where everything makes sense. A wilderness is quiet, wide, and often lonely. It stretches before you with no clear landmarks. The familiar is gone, and the future feels distant. You may be in such a season right now. In the wilderness, distractions fall away. The noise quiets. The busyness that once filled your days begins to thin out. And in that stillness, you are left with your thoughts, your questions, your longings. It can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. You wonder if you have wandered too far. You wonder if you missed a turn somewhere. But the wilderness is not punishment. It is preparation. There was once a traveler who left the safety of a crowded city to journey toward a promise. The path led through dry land. Resources were limited. The sun felt relentless. At times, the traveler questioned the decision to leave what was familiar. Why would I walk into this dryness? The traveler asked. What the traveler did not understand was that the city had grown too small for the calling ahead. The wilderness was not a detour, it was a training ground. My beloved child, your wilderness season is shaping you in ways comfort never could. In the quiet, you are learning to hear my voice more clearly. In the scarcity, you are learning gratitude for daily provision. In the uncertainty, you are learning to depend on me rather than on predictable outcomes. These lessons are not easy, but they are powerful. Sometimes you measure your life by visible progress. You ask, am I advancing? Am I succeeding? Am I moving forward? But growth in the wilderness is often invisible. Roots are growing deep beneath the surface. Character is forming in hidden places. Strength is developing where no one applauds. Think of a seed planted in dry soil. It appears lifeless from the outside, but beneath the ground, something is happening. The seed cracks open. It reaches downward before it reaches upward. It searches for water. It stretches toward unseen nourishment. You may feel buried, but you are being rooted. In the wilderness, I provide in ways you might overlook. You expected a feast, and I gave you daily bread. You expected a map of the entire journey, and I gave you guidance for the next step. You expected immediate clarity, and I gave you gradual understanding. This is not neglect. It is intimacy. When everything is abundant, it is easy to forget dependence. But in the wilderness, you learn that I am enough. You learn that peace does not come from surroundings but from connection. You learn that your identity is not tied to constant activity. You may feel isolated at times. Friends may not fully understand what you are walking through. Others may appear to move ahead while you remain in this quiet stretch of land. Comparison may tempt you. But remember, each journey is unique. Your wilderness is tailored for your growth. Do not rush this season. Do not despise it. The wilderness teaches resilience. It reveals hidden fears so they can be healed. It strips away illusions so truth can take root. It slows you down so you can rediscover what truly matters. And here is what you must hold on to. The wilderness is not your destination. It is a passage. There is a promised place ahead, a season where the lessons you are learning now will sustain you, a place where the strength you are building will carry responsibility with grace. But if you skip the wilderness, you miss the preparation. My beloved child, when the days feel dry and the nights feel long, remember that I walk with you even here. I am not waiting at the end of the wilderness. I am beside you in it. I shade you from more heat than you realize. I provide in subtle ways you may only recognize later. You are not lost. You are being led. And when this season shifts, you will look back and see that the wilderness was not empty after all. It was filled with quiet miracles, steady guidance, and a deeper knowing of my presence. Stay faithful in this stretch of land. There is purpose in every step. My beloved child, there is something sacred about your tears. You have cried in places no one else has seen. In the quiet of your room, in the silence of your car, behind a closed door where you felt safe enough to let your strength rest for a moment. Sometimes the tears came without warning. Sometimes they build slowly, gathering from days or even years of unspoken emotion. And afterward, you may have felt embarrassed. You may have wiped your face and told yourself to be stronger. You may have wondered if your tears meant you were weak. But listen to me carefully. Your tears matter. Not one of them has fallen unnoticed. Not one of them hath been dismissed as insignificant. Every tear carries a story. Every tear reveals a depth of feeling that I treasure, not judge. In a world that often praises composure and discourages vulnerability, you learn to hide your pain. You learn to say, "I'm okay," even when you were not. You learn to push through discomfort rather than sit with it. But tears are not failure. They are honesty. Imagine rain falling on dry ground. To an outsider, it may look like a storm, but to the soil, it is nourishment. Without rain, the earth cracks. Without moisture, seeds cannot grow. In the same way, your tears soften places in your heart that might otherwise grow hard. There were moments when you cried because you felt overwhelmed. Responsibilities piled up. Expectations weighed heavily. You felt stretched beyond your capacity. Those tears were not a sign that you could not handle life. They were a release valve, protecting you from breaking under pressure. There were other moments when you cried because of loss. A relationship that changed. A dream that faded. A version of your life that did not unfold as you hoped. Those tears honored what mattered to you. They showed that your heart is capable of deep attachment and deep love. And there were tears of frustration. When you felt misunderstood. When you tried your best and it did not seem enough. When progress felt slow. Those tears were prayers in liquid form. My beloved child, when you cry, you are not drifting away from me. Often, you are drawing closer. Tears strip away pretense. They leave you open, raw, and honest. In that openness, I can meet you more intimately. Here is a story of a woman who carried years of quiet sorrow. She had learned to hide it well. But one day, in a moment of vulnerability, she allowed herself to weep openly. What she did not expect was a relief that followed. The tears did not erase her past, but they loosened its grip. They allowed healing to begin. Healing often starts with release. You do not have to apologize for your emotions. I created you with the capacity to feel deeply. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is part of your design. It allows you to connect, to empathize, to care. Yes, it also makes you vulnerable to hurt. But it is through that same openness that love flows. When you bring your tears to me, I do not rush you. I do not say, "Stop crying." I sit with you. I hold you in ways you may not physically see but spiritually feel. I understand the language of your heart even when your words fail. One day, some of the tears you have shed will turn into testimonies. The pain that once overwhelmed you will become the source of compassion for someone else. The struggle that brought you to your knees will strengthen another who feels alone. But even if no one else ever understands your tears, I do. So do not be ashamed of them. Do not hide them from me. Let them fall if they must. Let them wash through you. They are not a sign that you are breaking. They are a sign that you are human, and that your heart is alive. Your tears matter, my beloved child, and I am near every time they fall. My beloved child, there are moments when you feel stuck, as if life has pressed pause while everyone else moves forward. You look around and see others advancing, achieving, building, celebrating. Meanwhile, you feel as though you are waiting in the background, unseen and uncertain. But what you call delay, I call preparation. Preparation rarely feels exciting. It is often quiet, repetitive, and hidden from public view. It does not come with applause. It does not announce itself with dramatic signs. Instead, it shapes you slowly, strengthening parts of you that will be needed later. Imagine a sculptor working on a masterpiece behind closed doors. The stone does not understand why it is being chipped away. Each strike of the tool feels like loss. Pieces fall to the ground. Edges are smoothed. Angles are refined. If the stone could speak, it might cry out, "Why am I being broken?" But the sculptor sees the final image. My beloved child, when parts of your life are being reshaped, it may feel like something is being taken from you. Comfort zones dissolve. Old habits are challenged. Turn relationships shift. Dreams are refined. But I am not removing without purpose. I am forming. There are skills you are developing right now that you do not yet recognize as valuable. Patience, endurance, emotional wisdom, discernment. These qualities are not flashy, but they are foundational. They will support the blessings ahead. You have asked for growth. You have prayed for purpose. You have longed to make a difference. But growth requires stretching. Purpose requires refinement. Impact requires depth. Consider a tree planted in a valley where winds are strong. If it grows too quickly without deep roots, the first storm will uproot it. So instead, the roots push downward first. They anchor. They secure. Only then does the tree rise confidently toward the sky. You are growing roots. This season may not look impressive from the outside. It may feel like repetition. Wake up. Try again. Learn slowly. Fail sometimes. Adjust it. Try again. But in that rhythm, resilience is forming. Stability is increasing. Your inner life is becoming stronger than your outer circumstances. You may not yet see where this preparation is leading. You may not have a clear picture of the next chapter. But I see it. I see the opportunities that will require your steady heart. I see the relationships that will need your compassion. I see the doors that will open and the responsibilities that will follow. If I gave you everything at once, without preparation, the weight might overwhelm you. So instead, I build you quietly. Sometimes preparation feels like isolation. You may notice that certain connections fade, that certain environments no longer fit. This is not rejection. It is alignment. I am shifting you toward spaces that will nurture the person you are becoming. There are days when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if you are capable. when you question whether you are truly equipped. Those thoughts are natural. But remember, preparation is not about proving you are perfect. It is about equipping you to depend on me. You do not need to know every detail of your future. You only need to trust that this season has purpose. Even the lessons learned through mistakes are valuable. Even the slow progress is meaningful. My beloved child, you are not being overlooked. You are not being left behind. You are being prepared with care. One day, you will step into a moment that feels larger than you expected, and you will realize that the patience you learned, the humility you gained, the strength you built in quiet seasons were exactly what you needed. So do not despise the process. Do not rush the shaping. Do not compare your timeline to another's. I am crafting something within you that cannot be rushed. You are being prepared, not postponed. And when the time is right, what hath been forming in hidden places will stand firm in the light. My beloved child, there are many voices that speak within you. Some are loud. Some are subtle. Some sound so familiar that you no longer question them. But not every voice deserves your trust. There is a voice of doubt that often disguises itself as wisdom. It sounds cautious, practical, even responsible. Yet beneath its tone is fear. It tells you that you are not ready, that you should wait until you are more confident, that others are more capable, that failure would be too costly. This voice analyzes your weaknesses and magnifies them. It replays your mistakes. It reminds you of times you stumbled. It says, remember what happened last time. It convinces you that stepping forward is dangerous and staying small is safe. But my voice is different. I do not deny your limitations, yet I do not define you by them. I do not shame you for your past, yet I guide you beyond it. When I speak correction, it carries peace, not panic. When I lead you forward, it comes with steadiness, not pressure. The voice of doubt rushes you into anxiety. My voice draws you into clarity. Imagine standing at the edge of a wide field at dawn. The fog is thick. Visibility is low. Doubt whispers, do not move. You cannot see far enough. It tells you that because you cannot view the entire landscape, you should remain frozen. But my voice says, take one step. The ground beneath you is solid. Doubt demands certainty before action. I invite trust within uncertainty. You have sometimes mistaken the voice of doubt for your own reasoning. You have assumed that constant self-criticism is humility. You have believed that expecting less from yourself is protection from disappointment. But humility is not self-rejection, and protection does not come from shrinking. My voice calls you higher, but never harshly. I stretch you, but I do not snap you. I encourage growth, but I remain patient with your pace. When Tao speaks, your body tightens. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your thoughts spiral. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You rehearse failure before you even begin. When I speak, there is a quiet expansion in your chest. Even if you feel nervous, there is also a thread of calm. Even if the path feels challenging, there is an undercurrent of hope. My voice does not erase fear instantly, but it steadies you in the midst of it. The voice of doubt says, you are alone in this. My voice says, I am with you. The voice of doubt says, if you fail, it will define you. My voice says, even if you stumble, you will learn and rise again. The voice of doubt says, play it safe. Hide your dreams. My voice says, I placed those dreams in you for a reason. Learning to distinguish these voices is part of your growth. It requires stillness. It requires honesty. It requires the courage to question the thoughts that have long gone unchallenged. When you hear a thought that condemns, belittles, or shames you relentlessly, pause. Ask yourself, does this voice bring me closer to peace or deeper into fear? I do not motivate through humiliation. I guide through love. You may not silence doubt completely. It may still whisper at times, but you can choose which voice to follow. Picture a child learning to ride a bicycle. Doubt shouts from a distance, "You will fall. You are not balanced enough." But the father runs beside the child, saying, "Keep pedaling. I am right here." The child may wobble. The knees may scrape once or twice, but the steady encouragement matters more than the distant warning. My beloved child, I am running beside you. When you consider new opportunities, listen for my peace. When you face challenges, listen for my reassurance. When you feel tempted to give up, listen for my gentle persistence urging you forward. You are not defined by the loudest voice. You are shaped by the one you trust. Trust mine. It may be softer than doubt, but it is stronger. It may be gentle, but it is unwavering. And it will always lead you toward growth, not fear. Tune your heart to my tone. Let my truth settle deeper than your insecurities. The more you listen, the clearer it will become. My voice speaks life over you, always. My beloved child, there is a door in your memory that still stings when you think about it. A door you knocked on with hope. A door you believed would open. A door that seemed right, promising, even destined. And it did not open. Perhaps it was an opportunity you prayed for, a relationship you invested in, a plan you carefully built. You imagined how life would look on the other side of that door. You pictured yourself stepping through it, relieved and grateful. But instead, you were met with silence, or rejection, or circumstances that made it impossible to move forward. And when that door closed, something inside you tightened. You wondered if you had misheard me, if you had misjudged the situation, if you simply were not enough. Closed doors can feel personal. They can feel like verdicts on your worth, like confirmation of your deepest insecurities, like final statements that say, "This is not for you." But my beloved child, not every closed door is rejection. Some are protection. Some are redirection. Some are timing. Imagine a child reaching toward a door that leads to a steep staircase. The child sees only the excitement beyond it. The father sees the risk. When the father closes the door, the child may cry, not understanding why joy was denied. But the father is not withholding good. He is guarding from harm. There are doors you begged me to open that would have led you into exhaustion. There are paths you longed for that would have drained your peace. There are relationships you pursued that would have diminished your sense of self. You saw promise. I saw consequence. This does not mean every closed door hides disaster. Sometimes it simply means not yet. You live within time. I see beyond it. A door that remains closed today may open in a different season, when you are more prepared, more rooted, more aligned. Other times, a closed door clears the way for something better suited to who you are becoming. When a door shuts unexpectedly, your instinct may be to force it open, to knock harder, to prove your worth, to search for alternative entrances. But striving against a closed door can exhaust you and distract you from the hallway you are meant to walk down. There is always a hobby. Closed doors are not the end of movement. They are shifts in direction. And though it may feel disorienting at first, I guide you through those transitions carefully. Think of a traveler who planned to cross a bridge, only to find it under construction. Frustration rises. Plans must change. The traveler must take a longer route. But that detour leads through a valley of unexpected beauty, where new connections are formed and new strength is built. And the original bridge been accessible, that growth would never have occurred. My beloved child, the door that closed was not proof that you are forgotten. It was evidence that I am involved. You are not meant to live in regret over what did not happen. Regret keeps your eyes fixed on a door that is no longer part of your path. Instead, lift your gaze. Notice what stands before you now. Notice the subtle openings you may have overlooked because you were focused on the one that shut. There are doors that open quietly. Opportunities that do not look grand at first. Relationships that grow slowly. Paths that seem simple but carry profound purpose. You not miss them because they differ from your expectations. You may never fully understand why certain doors closed, but you can trust that I do not remove without reason. I do not redirect without care. If you stand today in front of a closed door, release the sting. Release the belief that it defines your future. Release the thought that you lost your only chance. You have not missed your destiny. What is meant for you cannot be permanently blocked. What is aligned with your purpose will find its way in the right season. Step away from the closed door with grace. Turn toward the path unfolding before you. I am guiding you, even in the redirection. Trust the doors I close as much as the ones I open, my beloved child. My beloved child, there are battles you face that did not begin with you. There are patterns that feel older than your own choices. Reactions that rise quickly, almost automatically. Fears that seem woven into your family's story. You have noticed similarities between your struggles and the struggles of those who came before you. And sometimes this realization feels heavy. You wonder, will this always be my story? Am I destined to repeat what I have seen? Listen to me carefully. You are not bound to repeat every chapter you inherited. Imagine a long chain stretching across generations. Each link represents a habit, a wound, a belief passed quietly from parent to child. Some links are strong and beautiful, resilience, kindness, faith. But other links carry pain, anger left unresolved, silence where truth should have been spoken, fear disguised as control. You were born into this chain, but you were not born to remain trapped in its broken parts. Breaking a chain does not happen with loud noise or dramatic declarations alone. It often begins in quiet awareness. The moment you pause before reacting the way you were taught. The moment you choose honesty instead of denial. The moment you seek healing instead of hiding. Those small decisions are powerful. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where emotions were ignored. Now, you are learning to feel and express them in healthy ways. Perhaps you witnessed conflict handled through shouting or withdrawal. Now you are choosing calm communication. Perhaps fear shaped many decisions in your family. And now, you are daring to trust. Each time you choose differently, a link weakens. This work is not easy. It requires courage to look honestly at patterns that feel familiar. It requires humility to admit what needs change. It requires patience because transformation does not occur overnight. But my beloved child, I have placed within you the strength to begin. You are not responsible for what happened before you were aware, but you are empowered to decide what continues through you. The legacy you pass forward can be different from the one you receive. Imagine a river flowing through generations. At some point along its course, the water becomes polluted. The contamination affects everything downstream. But then someone upstream chooses to clean it. They remove debris. They filter what flows forward. The water does not change instantly, but over time, it becomes clearer. You are that upstream decision. When you pursue healing, when you forgive, when you seek wisdom, you are not only changing your own life, you are altering what flows into the future. Children who watch you will learn new patterns. Friends who observe your growth will be inspired. Even those who came before you may see change and reflect differently. Breaking generational chains is not about blaming the past. It is about redeeming it. You can honor the resilience of your family while refusing to carry forward its wounds. You can acknowledge pain without allowing it to dictate your future. You can love those who shaped you while choosing healthier paths. There may be moments when old patterns try to reassert themselves, when stress triggers familiar reactions, when you feel tempted to say, "This is just how I am." But pause. That is not destiny speaking. That is habit, and habits can change. I walk with you in this process. I give you insight. I give you courage. I give you the ability to choose differently. You are not alone in breaking what has bound generations. Your story is not predetermined by history. It is shaped by decisions made in partnership with me. One day, you will look back and realize that what once felt impossible to change has softened. Reactions that used to be automatic will become intentional. Peace will replace chaos in areas that once felt tense, and you will see that a new legacy has begun. My beloved child, you are not just surviving your history, you are transforming it. The chain weakens with every brave choice. The river clears with every act of healing. You were not placed in this moment by accident. You are strong enough to begin again. And what you choose today will echo beautifully into tomorrow. My beloved child, there is a quiet fear that lingers in your thoughts more often than you admit. It is the fear that you are too late. Too late to change. Too late to begin again. Too late to pursue what once stirred your heart. You look at your age, your past decisions, the time that has passed, and you measure yourself against an invisible clock. You see others moving ahead and wonder if your opportunity has already slipped away. But I tell you gently and firmly, you are not too late. Time, as you experience it, feels linear and unforgiving. You think in terms of deadlines and milestones. You believe certain dreams must unfold within a narrow window or they lose their value. But I do not operate within your limited timelines. You see delay. I see development. Imagine a gardener planting different seeds. Some bloom quickly in a single season. Others remain beneath the soil for years before emerging. If the gardener judged every seed by the same timeline, many would be declared failures. But each seed carries its own rhythm, its own design. You are not behind. You are unfolding according to a rhythm that fits your unique story. There were seasons when you were not ready for what you desired, not because you were incapable, but because you were still becoming. You needed experiences that shaped your perspective. You needed lessons that strengthened your character. You needed growth that could not be rushed. Now, when you look back, you may see moments you wish you had handled differently. You may replay conversations and think, if only I had known then what I know now. Regret can feel heavy. It can convince you that missed chances are permanent losses. But regret is not the end of your story. Every experience, even those you wish you could rewrite, has contributed to who you are today. The wisdom you carry now was born from both success and mistake. The compassion you show others grew from your own pain. The resilience within you was forged in seasons that did not go as planned. If you had started certain journeys earlier, you might have lacked the depth you now possess. My beloved child, do not confuse delay with denial. There are dreams you set aside because life felt overwhelming. There are passions you buried because practicality seemed louder. There are paths you abandoned because fear convinced you they were unrealistic. But the flame of purpose does not extinguish easily. If something continues to stir in your heart, if a calling persists quietly beneath your routines, that is not an accident. I place desires within you for a reason. Some are meant for immediate action. Others are meant to mature over time. You are not too old. You are not too inexperienced. You are not too broken. The narrative that says, "It's over," is not my voice. Consider a river that encounters a large rock in its path. The water does not stop permanently. You adjust. It flows around the obstacle. It carves a new channel. Over time, even the rock is shaped by the persistence of the water. Your journey may have encountered obstacles, but it has not ended. There are still chapters ahead. There are still doors that will open. There are still relationships to build, skills to learn, dreams to pursue. Your past does not disqualify you. It equips you. You may need to take small steps. You may need to start humbly. But starting now is not failure. It is courage. My beloved child, release the comparison that fuels your anxiety. Another person's timeline is not your measure. What looks like a late beginning to you may be perfect timing in my design. Lift your eyes from the clock. Look instead at the possibility before you. You are not too late to heal. You are not too late to love well. You are not too late to grow. You are not too late to answer the call stirring in your spirit. As long as you are breathing, there is purpose ahead. As long as your heart beats, there is opportunity for renewal. Trust that I redeem time in ways you cannot yet see. You are right on time for the next step. My beloved child, there are seasons when you feel buried, not planted, not positioned, buried. It feels dark. It feels confined. It feels as though layers of responsibility, disappointment, and delay have been piled on top of you. You look around and see little evidence of progress. You wonder if you have been forgotten beneath the weight of it all. But let me shift your perspective. There is a difference between being buried and being planted. When something is buried, it is hidden with no expectation of growth. When something is planted, it is placed intentionally beneath the soil with a future in mind. The conditions may look the same from the outside: darkness, pressure, isolation. But the purpose is entirely different. You are not buried, my beloved child. You are planted. Think of a seed. Before it ever breaks through the surface, it must endure the darkness of the soil. It cannot see the sky. It cannot feel the sun directly. It is surrounded by earth pressing in on every side. If the seed had feelings like yours, it might assume it had been forgotten. It might think, this is the end. But beneath that soil, something miraculous begins. The seed cracks open. What looks like breaking is actually beginning. The outer shell that once protected it must split. The pressure of the soil and the moisture around it trigger transformation. Roots begin to push downward before any sign of life appears above ground. The first movement is not visible to anyone watching. My beloved child, you are in a rooting season. The pressure you feel is not pointless. It is producing depth. The darkness is not abandonment. It is incubation. The cracking you experience within your heart, those moments when old beliefs shatter, when illusions fall away, when comfort dissolves, is not destruction. It is preparation for growth. You often measure your life by what others can see. Achievements, recognition, visible progress. But the most important development in your life happens where no one is looking. Roots do not grow in applause. They grow in hidden places. When you feel overlooked, remember the seed. When you feel confined, remember the soil. What surrounds you right now may feel heavy, but it is also stabilizing you. It is forcing you to anchor deeper into truth. It is strengthening your dependence on me. There is also timing involved. A seed cannot rush its way to the surface. If it breaks through too soon, without sufficient root support, it will not withstand wind or heat. So growth happens in stages. Hidden first, visible later. You may wish to see results immediately. You may want confirmation that your efforts matter. But trust the process I am guiding. The cracking you feel is necessary. The waiting you endure is meaningful. The silence you experience is not emptiness, it is formation. One day, the soil above you will shift. A small green shoot will push through. It will not look impressive at first. It will seem fragile. But that small emergence will be supported by strong roots beneath the surface. And as seasons continue, what began as a hidden seed will become something that provides shade, nourishment, and beauty. My beloved child, do not despise this underground season. Do not assume that because you cannot see immediate results, nothing is happening. There is movement beneath the surface. There is growth you cannot yet measure. You are not stuck. You are developing. When doubt tries to tell you that you have been forgotten, remember the seed. When impatience tempts you to give up, remember that roots take time. I have not planted you to leave you hidden forever. I have placed you exactly where growth can occur. The soil that feels heavy today will one day be the very thing that strengthened you. You are not buried. You are becoming. My beloved child, there are battles in your life that you can see, and there are battles you cannot. You see the conversations that strain your heart. You see the financial pressures. You see the deadlines, the responsibilities, the unexpected challenges. These are visible struggles, and they are real. But beyond what your eyes perceive, there are forces moving that you do not fully understand. There are outcomes being shaped. There are dangers being diverted. There are doors being guarded. And in all of it, I'm fighting for you. You sometimes believe that everything depends on your strength. You brace yourself for impact. You prepare for worst-case scenarios. You rehearse arguments in your mind. You try to anticipate every possibility so you can defend yourself. But my beloved child, you are not alone in your defense. Imagine a child walking through a crowded marketplace. The noise is overwhelming. People move quickly in every direction. The child may not notice every potential hazard: a sudden cart rolling past, a misplaced step, a shifting crowd. But the father walking beside the child sees what the child does not. He positions himself between danger and vulnerability. He gently steers the child away from harm before the child even recognizes the risk. This is how I move in your life. There have been situations you never knew about because I intervened before they reached you. Conversations that could have escalated but softened. Opportunities that looked promising but carried hidden consequences, quietly removed from your path. Accidents that were narrowly avoided. Emotional wounds that could have cut deeper but were lessened. You do not see every protection, but that does not mean it is not happening. When you feel overwhelmed, you may ask, why does this feel so hard if God is fighting for me? Remember, fighting for you does not mean removing every challenge. Some battles strengthen you. Some pressures refine you. But even in those, I limit what touches you. There are lines drawn that you cannot see. When anxiety rises and tells you that everything is spiraling out of control, pause. You are not standing unguarded in a chaotic world. You are covered. Even when people misunderstand you. Even when circumstances feel unfair. Even when you feel outnumbered or outmatched. I am not passive. I am active on your behalf. You may not always win in the way you expect. Some outcomes may look different from your original desires. But I fight for your growth, your peace, your ultimate good, not just your immediate comfort. Sometimes my defense looks like strength rising within you unexpectedly. You handle a situation with more calm than you thought possible. You respond with grace instead of anger. You endure something that once would have broken you. That strength is not random. It is provision. Other times, my defense looks like exposure. Truth comes to light. Hidden motives are revealed. What was unclear becomes obvious. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but clarity protects you from deeper harm. My beloved child, rest in this. You do not have to fight every battle alone. Do your part with integrity. Speak with honesty. Act with courage. But release the need to control every outcome. I am present in the unseen layers of your life. When you lie awake at night worrying about tomorrow, remember that I am already there. When you fear what others may do or say, remember that I am not surprised. When you feel weak, remember that my strength does not weaken. There are angels you do not see. There are alignments you do not orchestrate. There are protections you do not recognize. You are not abandoned to chaos. Even when storms surround you, even when voices rise against you, even when doubt whispers loudly, I remain steady. I fight for your hide. I fight for your purpose. I fight for the promises placed within you. So breathe. You do not have to carry a sword in every situation. You do not have to brace for every impact. I am fighting for you, my beloved child, and I do not lose sight of what I am protecting. My beloved child, there is something that unsettles you more than hardship itself. It is the unknown. You can endure difficulty when you understand its boundaries. You can tolerate pressure when you know how long it will last. But when the future feels unclear, when answers are not yet visible, your mind begins to race. You try to predict outcomes. You try to fill in gaps. You search for certainty like a traveler searching for a map in unfamiliar territory. The unknown feels like standing at the edge of a fog-covered path. You know you must move forward, but you cannot see beyond a few steps. And your instinct is to wait until the fog clears completely. But faith does not require full visibility. Imagine walking through a valley at dawn. The mist hangs low. You can only see a short distance ahead. Yet with each step you take, the ground beneath your feet becomes clear. The path does not reveal itself all at once. It unfolds gradually, step by step. This is how I often guide you. You want clarity for the entire journey. I offer light for the next step. The unknown is not your enemy. It is the space where trust grows. When you cannot rely on detailed plans, you learn to rely on me. When outcomes are uncertain, you learn to anchor your heart in my character rather than in circumstances. Trust is not passive. It is active surrender. It is waking up and choosing to move forward even when you do not have all the answers. It is saying, I do not see the full picture, but I believe I am being led. It is releasing the illusion that control equals safety. You have tried to control outcomes before. You have tried to anticipate every possibility so you could prepare for it. But control has limits. It cannot prevent every disappointment. It cannot secure every outcome. It often only increases anxiety. Trust, on the other hand, creates peace in the middle of uncertainty. Consider a child learning to swim. At first, the water feels intimidating. The child clings tightly to the edge of the pool, afraid to let go. The instructor stands nearby, arms open, promising support. The child must decide whether to remain at the edge or to trust the one who offers guidance. The water does not change. The depth remains the same. What changes is the child's willingness to release the edge. My beloved child, you are standing at the edge of something new. Perhaps it is a decision about your future. Perhaps it is a relationship that feels uncertain. Perhaps it is a calling that requires courage. The fog may not lift immediately, but I am asking you to loosen your grip on the edge of fear. I do not lead you into uncertainty to harm you. I lead you through it to strengthen you. There are blessings ahead that require faith to reach. There are experiences that will shape you in beautiful ways, but they cannot be accessed by remaining frozen at the edge. Trust does not mean you will never feel afraid. It means you move forward despite fear. It means you remember that you are guided, even when the path is unclear. When you feel overwhelmed by questions about the future, return to this moment. Breathe. Focus on what is in front of you today. Do the next right thing with integrity and courage. Leave tomorrow in my hands. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being led carefully. The unknown is not empty. It is filled with possibilities you cannot yet imagine. It is filled with growth, connection, and purpose waiting to unfold. My beloved child, release the need to see everything at once. Take the step before you. I will illuminate the next one when the time comes. Trust me with what you cannot see. I see it clearly. My beloved child, there is one foundation you must return to again and again. Your identity is secure. The world around you shifts constantly. Opinions change. Circumstances fluctuate. Success rises and falls. Relationships evolve. If you build your identity on any of these things, you will feel unstable whenever they move. And they will move. You have tried, at times, to define yourself by your achievements. When you succeeded, you felt confident. When you failed, you felt diminished. You have also defined yourself by how others perceive you. A compliment lifted you. A criticism pierced you. A rejection shook you. But your identity was never meant to hang so loosely. Imagine building a house on sand. When the wind blows or the rain falls, the structure trembles. Cracks form. Fear rises. But when a house is built on solid rock, storms may come, yet the foundation holds. Your identity must be anchored in something unchanging. You are not your last mistake. You are not your greatest accomplishment. You are not the labels others placed on you in moments of misunderstanding. You are not defined by your salary, your relationship status, your past trauma, or your current struggle. You are mine. Before you earned a degree, before you made a wrong choice, before anyone applauded or criticized you, you were already known, already loved, already valued. When you forget this, insecurity creeps in. You begin to compare. You begin to strive for validation. You adjust yourself to fit expectations. You silence parts of your personality to avoid rejection. You shrink your voice to maintain peace. But insecurity is exhausting. When your identity is secure, you no longer need to chase approval. You can receive affirmation with gratitude, but you are not dependent on it. You can hear constructive criticism without collapsing. You can experience setbacks without questioning your worth. Consider a tree with deep roots. It does not argue with the wind. It does not panic when seasons change. In winter, its leaves may fall. In autumn, its colors shift. In spring, it blooms. But through every season, its identity as a tree remains. Your seasons may change, but your core does not. There will be moments when others misunderstand you. Moments when your intentions are questioned. Moments when your efforts go unnoticed. If your identity rests in public opinion, those moments will wound deeply. But if your identity rests in my love, you remain steady. My beloved child, secure identity does not mean arrogance. It does not mean ignoring growth areas. It means you can acknowledge your imperfections without believing they erase your value. You are allowed to grow without condemning yourself. You are allowed to learn without labeling yourself a failure. You are allowed to evolve without fearing you are losing who you are. Because who you are at your core is not fragile. You are chosen. You are called. You are deeply loved. That truth does not fluctuate with circumstances. When doubt whispers, "Who do you think you are?" answer with confidence, "I am a beloved child of God." When fear says, "You do not belong here," remember that your belonging was established long before this moment. Let this truth settle into your bones. Walk into rooms with quiet assurance, not because you are perfect, but because you are grounded. Speak your truth with kindness, not because you seek attention, but because you know your voice has value. Set boundaries when needed, not from anger, but from clarity. Your identity is not a fragile glass that shatters at the first impact. It is a foundation built on unchanging love. Return to it when you feel shaken. Anchor yourself in it when comparison tempts you. Rest in it when you feel uncertain. My beloved child, you are secure. And from that security, you are free to grow, to love, and to live without fear of losing yourself. My beloved child, you often look for big moments. You imagine that change must come in dramatic waves, that growth must be obvious, that transformation should feel like a sudden breakthrough. You wait for the day when everything aligns at once, when fear disappears entirely, when clarity arrives in full. But most of the miracles in your life are built through small steps. You underestimate the quiet power of consistency. You dismiss the value of daily obedience. You think, this is too small to matter. But small steps, repeated faithfully, shape destinies. Imagine a mountain towering in the distance. From where you stand, it looks overwhelming. The peak feels impossibly far away. If you focus only on the summit, discouragement sets in quickly. You wonder how you will ever reach it. But no one climbs a mountain in a single leap. Climbers take one step, then another. They focus on the next foothold, not the entire journey. Over time, those small steps accumulate. What once seemed unreachable becomes reality through steady movement. In your life, small steps matter more than you realize. Choosing to pray for a few minutes when your mind feels busy. Choosing to speak kindly when frustration rises. Choosing to set one healthy boundary. Choosing to forgive a little more today than yesterday. Choosing to rest when you are tempted to overwork. These decisions may not feel monumental, but they are shaping your heart. You have sometimes been paralyzed by the desire to get everything right at once. You think, if I cannot do it perfectly, why try at all? But perfection is not the requirement. Faithfulness is. A seed does not become a tree overnight. It grows gradually. Each day it stretches slightly toward the light. Each day, roots extend a little deeper. The progress is almost invisible in the beginning. But over time, the accumulation of small growth becomes undeniable. My beloved child, do not despise small beginnings. The quiet habit you build today becomes the strength you rely on tomorrow. The discipline you practice now becomes the stability you stand on later. The patience you cultivate in ordinary moments prepares you for extraordinary opportunities. You do not need to change your entire life in a single day. You do not need to resolve every struggle immediately. Focus on the next right step. When anxiety tells you to fix everything at once, pause. Ask, what is one small act of trust I can take today? When regret tries to overwhelm you with the weight of the past, ask, what is one small choice that moves me forward? Small steps break the power of stagnation. Even in your spiritual journey, growth often looks subtle. A slightly calmer reaction, a quicker return to peace after conflict, a deeper understanding of compassion. These are signs that transformation is happening. You may not feel dramatically different, but if you look closely, you will see progress. My beloved child, I celebrate your small steps. When you resist an old pattern, even once, I see it. When you choose courage in a minor decision, I see it. When you show up despite feeling uncertain, I see it. Heaven does not measure your life only by milestones. It rejoices in faithfulness. Release the pressure to leap forward in giant strides. Trust the rhythm of steady movement. Trust that each step, though small, carries weight. One day, you will look back and realize that what felt insignificant at the time was actually foundational. The habits you built quietly sustain you in storms. The courage you practiced in small moments prepared you for greater challenges. Keep walking, my beloved child. Even if the steps feel modest, even if progress seems slow, even if no one else notices, I notice. And small steps, taken with trust, will carry you farther than you ever imagined. My beloved child, even if you cannot fully see it yet, healing is already beginning. You have prayed for restoration. You have longed for peace. You have asked for freedom from patterns that once held you tightly. And because you expected healing to feel dramatic, you may have missed the quiet ways it has already started. Healing often arrives gently. It does not always announce itself with a sudden breakthrough. Sometimes it begins with a subtle shift in how you respond. A little more patience where there used to be anger. A little less panic where there used to be fear. A slightly softer inner voice where harsh criticism once ruled. These are not accidents. They are signs. There was a time when certain memories would overwhelm you completely. They would replay in your mind and steal your peace for hours, even days. Now, though they may still surface, they do not grip you as tightly. You recover more quickly. You breathe more steadily. That is healing. There was a time when one negative comment could unravel your entire sense of confidence. Now, though it may still sting, you do not collapse in the same way. You consider it, you weigh it, and you move forward. That is healing. Healing is not the absence of all pain. It is the gradual reduction of its control. Imagine a deep wound that once bled heavily. At first, it required constant attention. The pain was sharp and undeniable. Over time, the wound begins to close. A scar forms. The area may still feel tender, but it no longer threatens your survival. Scars are not signs of failure. They are evidence of survival. My beloved child, some of your scars are becoming symbols of strength. You may still feel sensitive in certain areas. You may still have moments of vulnerability. But you are no longer as fragile as you once were. You have learned boundaries. You have learned discernment. You have learned to pause before reacting. These lessons are part of your healing. There are also internal shifts you may not yet recognize. Your prayers are becoming less desperate and more trusting. Your thoughts are becoming less chaotic and more grounded. You are starting to believe that peace is possible for you. That belief alone is powerful. Healing also involves forgiveness of others and of yourself. You may not have fully released every hurt, but you are moving in that direction. You are willing to confront pain rather than bury it. You are willing to seek understanding rather than denial. That willingness opens the door for deeper restoration. Do not rush the process. Do not measure your healing against someone else's timeline. Each heart carries different wounds. Each journey unfolds uniquely. You may still have days when old feelings resurface. That does not mean you are back at the beginning. Healing is not a straight line. It is a path with curves and pauses. What matters is that you are moving forward, and I am walking with you in every step. When you feel discouraged because you are not fully there yet, remember how far you have come. Remember the nights when you thought you would never feel calm again. Remember the days when hope seemed distant. You are no longer standing in the same place. Something within you has shifted. My beloved child, trust the quiet work I am doing inside you. Even when you cannot see dramatic change, trust the subtle transformation. Your heart is becoming steadier. Your mind is becoming clearer. Your spirit is becoming stronger. Healing is not just coming. It has already begun. And as it continues, you will discover a deeper freedom than you thought possible. A freedom not from all difficulty, but from the chains that once bound you. Stay patient. Stay open. Stay connected to me. Your restoration is unfolding, one gentle layer at a time. My beloved child, you sometimes look at the world around you and feel small. You see the challenges of your generation, the uncertainty, the noise, the division, the prelude to keep up. And quietly, you wonder, why now? Why here? Why me? You may feel as though you were placed in a time that is too complex, too demanding, too unstable. You may think you would have preferred a simpler era, a different environment, another set of circumstances. But listen to me clearly. You were chosen for this time. You are not an accident of history. You are not misplaced in the timeline of humanity. The strengths within you, the sensitivities you carry, the questions you wrestle with, these are not random traits. They are intentional. Imagine a craftsman preparing tools for a specific task. Each tool is shaped differently. One is designed for precision, another for strength, another for careful detail. The craftsman does not grab a tool at random. He selects what fits the moment. You, my beloved child, are shaped for this moment. The compassion you feel in response to injustice is needed now. The creativity stirring in your heart is needed now. The longing you have for authenticity and truth is needed now. Even your struggles have equipped you with empathy that someone else desperately needs. There are people who will cross your path who could not have been reached by someone else in the same way. Your voice, your story, your perspective carry a resonance that is uniquely yours. You may not stand on a global stage. You may not have thousands watching your every move. But influence is not measured by numbers alone. It is measured by impact. One conversation spoken with kindness can shift a heart. One act of integrity in a compromised environment can set a new standard. One courageous decision to live differently can inspire someone silently observing you. You do not need to change the entire world. You need to be faithful where you are. There are times when you underestimate your presence. You think, what difference can I make? But light does not need to be massive to matter. Even a small flame breaks darkness in a room. You carry light within you. The experiences you have walked through were not wasted. The lessons you learned in pain, the resilience you developed in hardship, the wisdom you gained in waiting, these are tools prepared for this season. Do not despise your uniqueness. Do not wish away your sensitivity. Do not silence your questions. These qualities position you to respond differently than others might. My beloved child, you are not behind. You are not late to purpose. You are not overlooked. There are assignments in your life that only you can fulfill. They may look ordinary on the surface. They may involve family, friendships, work, or quiet service. But ordinary faithfulness in the right moment carries eternal weight. You were not created to blend into the background of history. You were created to reflect my character in your sphere of influence. When you feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the world's problems, remember that you are not responsible for solving everything. You are responsible for walking in obedience within your reach. Your kindness matters. Your integrity matters. Your courage matters. And even when you feel unseen by others, you are seen by me. You were chosen for this time, not because you are flawless, but because you are willing. Willing to grow. Willing to love. Willing to try again after failure. Trust that I do not place my children randomly. Trust that your life intersects with others for purpose. Trust that even your smallest acts of faithfulness ripple further than you can see. My beloved child, stand tall in this truth. You belong here. And this time, with all its complexity and possibility, is not too much for you. It is the very place where your light was meant to shine. My beloved child, if you pause and look closely, you may begin to notice something subtle but real. The weight is lifting. Not all at once. Not in a dramatic, sudden release. But gradually, almost quietly, the heaviness that once pressed against your chest is beginning to loosen. The thoughts that once circled endlessly are losing their intensity. The burdens that once felt unbearable are no longer crushing in the same way. You may not even have recognized it at first. There was a time when waking up felt like bracing for impact. Your mind would immediately scan for problems. Your body would tighten before the day even began. But now, there are moments, small, gentle moments, when you wake and feel a flicker of calm before the rush of responsibilities arrives. That flicker is not accidental. There was a time when one challenge would unravel your entire peace. Now, though you still feel pressure, you recover more quickly. You breathe through it. You remind yourself of truth. You do not spiral as deeply or as long. That shift is not coincidence. My beloved child, I have been strengthening you quietly. While you focused on surviving, I was building resilience. While you questioned your progress, I was reinforcing your foundation. While you feared you were stuck, I was moving beneath the surface. Imagine carrying a heavy load for a long distance. At first, your muscles strain intensely. Every step feels difficult. But over time, something changes. Your body adapts. Your posture improves. Your strength increases. The same weight that once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. In the same way, your heart has grown stronger. This does not mean life has become easy. It means you are becoming steadier. The weight is lifting not only because circumstances are shifting, but because your perspective is changing. You are learning to release what you cannot control. You are learning to trust instead of panic. You are learning to rest instead of constantly striving. And that shift creates space. Space for peace to settle. Space for joy to re-enter. Space for hope to rise again. There are still responsibilities in your life. There are still questions unanswered, but they no longer define your entire emotional landscape. They are part of your story, not the whole story. You may notice that you smile more easily, that you laugh without forcing it, that you enjoy small moments without immediately worrying about what comes next. These are signs of light returning. My beloved child, do not dismiss these changes because they are gradual. Gradual healing is often the most lasting. Slow strength is often the most stable. The heaviness that once dominated your thoughts is losing its authority. You are no longer as entangled in fear. You are no longer as tightly bound to regret. You are no longer as overwhelmed by comparison. And though you may still have difficult days, they do not consume you the way they once did. Picture clouds that have covered the sky for a long season. At first, the light seems completely gone. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the clouds begin to thin. Rays of sunlight break through in small streaks. The warmth returns gradually. You are in that thinning season. The light has not been absent. It has been waiting for space. My beloved child, allow yourself to acknowledge progress. Do not cling to the identity of being overwhelmed. Do not define yourself by past heaviness. You are growing lighter, stronger, more anchored. Continue to lay down what burdens you. Continue to take small steps. Continue to trust. The weight is lifting because you are not carrying it alone anymore. Feel your shoulders relax. Feel your breathing deepen. Notice the subtle steadiness in your spirit. This is not the end of your journey, but it is a beautiful shift. The heaviness is giving way to hope, and hope will carry you forward. My beloved child, as the weight begins to lift and your heart feels steadier, there is something simple yet powerful I ask of you. Stay with me, not only in crisis, not only when you feel desperate, not only when answers are unclear. Stay with me in the ordinary. Stay with me in the quiet. Stay with me when life feels calm again. It is easy to seek me intensely in the storm. When waves rise and fear tightens around you, you reach for my voice with urgency. But when the waters settle, when peace returns, you may slowly drift back into self-reliance. I do not say this to accuse you. I say it because I desire closeness, not just emergency calls. Imagine a child who runs to the father only when hurt, only when frightened. The father gladly comforts and protects, but his heart also longs for companionship in the calm moments, for laughter, for conversation, for shared presence. My beloved child, I want to walk with you through every season, not only the difficult ones. Staying with me does not require grand gestures. It is found in small daily awareness. A whispered prayer in the morning, a moment of gratitude before sleep, a pause in the middle of stress to remember my nearness. It is choosing connection over distraction. The world around you pulls constantly for your attention. Notifications, responsibilities, expectations, noise. Without intention, your focus scatters. And when your focus scatters, your peace can thin. Staying with me anchors you. Picture a boat tied securely to a dock. The waters may move gently, the tide may shift, but the rope keeps the boat from drifting away. If the rope is loosened completely, the boat may not notice its movement at first. It drifts slowly, almost imperceptibly, until distance separates it from where it was meant to remain. Connection with me is your anchor. You do not need to strive to earn my presence. I am already near. But you must choose awareness. You must choose to remain. When challenges arise again, and they will, because life continues in cycles, your rootedness in me will steady you. The habits of connection you build in calm seasons will sustain you in difficult ones. Staying with me also means trusting my guidance consistently, not just when it aligns with your preferences, but when it stretches you. It means returning quickly when you stumble, rather than hiding in shame. It means choosing truth over old patterns. My beloved child, I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for relationship. You may have days when you feel distant, when distractions win, when doubt resurfaces. Do not interpret those moments as failure. Simply return. My arms are not crossed in frustration. They are open in welcome. Staying with me is not about fear of losing love. It is about deepening joy. When you remain connected, you notice my whispers more easily. You sense my peace more quickly. You discern my guidance more clearly. You experience life not as something you must manage alone, but as something we walk through together. And there is rest in that. The more you stay with me, the more natural it becomes. My voice becomes familiar. My presence becomes your home. Even in busy rooms, even in stressful environments, you carry a quiet awareness of companionship. My beloved child, do not drift back into isolation. Do not return to carrying burdens alone. Do not allow busyness to crowd out connection. Stay with me. Let your heart return often. Let your thoughts align gently. Let your trust deepen over time. This is not a demand. It is an invitation. Walk with me in the calm as well as in the storm. Speak with me in joy as well as in need. Rest in me when life feels steady. I delight in your presence as much as you seek mine. Stay with me, and you will find that no season overwhelms you completely. Stay with me, and you will remain anchored, even when tides shift. Stay with me, my beloved child, and you will never truly be alone. My beloved child, lift your eyes gently now. Do not strain to see too far ahead, but allow hope to rise within you. There is something beautiful unfolding beyond what you can currently perceive. What is coming next is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to refine you and bless you. You have walked through uncertainty. You have endured seasons of waiting. You have faced storms and learned to trust in the middle of them. None of that was wasted. Each step has positioned you for what lies ahead. Imagine standing at the edge of a new dawn. The sky is still dim, but light is quietly spreading across the horizon. You cannot yet see every detail of the landscape, but you sense that something is shifting. The air feels different. The darkness is retreating. That is where you are now. What is coming next may not look exactly like what you once imagined. It may not follow the script you wrote in earlier years, but it will carry peace. It will carry alignment. It will reflect the growth that has taken place within you. There are opportunities forming that match the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. There are connections ahead that will feel healthier and more mutual. There are doors preparing to open that will not require you to shrink yourself to fit through them. You have feared that the best days were behind you, but I tell you, there are fresh experiences waiting. There is joy that has not yet touched your life. There is clarity that will replace confusion. This does not mean every challenge disappears. Life continues with its rhythms, but you will meet what comes next with greater stability. You will recognize my guidance more quickly. You will carry peace into rooms that once unsettled you. What is coming next includes deeper confidence, not loud or boastful, but quiet and rooted. You will notice that you hesitate less before taking healthy risks. You will speak with more clarity. You will choose with more intention. What is coming next also includes restoration in areas you thought might remain broken. conversations that bring understanding, healing in relationships that once felt strained. Even if certain connections do not return, you will experience closure and freedom. There are also dreams that will resurface. Ideas that once seemed distant may come back into view. But this time, you will approach them with maturity rather than urgency. You will not chase them to prove yourself. You will pursue them because they align with who you are. My beloved child, I am not leading you into chaos. I am leading you into refinement. You may feel a gentle stirring inside you already, a sense that change is near. Not chaotic change, but intentional movement. You may feel drawn to new habits, new conversations, new directions. Pay attention to those nudges. They are not random. The future is not a threat. It is an unfolding. As you step forward, remember what you have learned. Lay down fear quickly. Return to trust daily. Take small steps consistently. Stay anchored in your identity. These truths will carry you through whatever comes next. And when you encounter moments of uncertainty again, you will not panic as you once did. You will remember the wilderness. You will remember the seed beneath the soil. You will remember the storms you survived. You will remember that I was faithful. My beloved child, what is coming next is not beyond your capacity, because I am increasing your capacity even now. Walk forward with expectancy, not dread. Hold hope gently but firmly. Allow anticipation to replace anxiety. The dawn is breaking, and as light spreads across your path, you will see that the journey ahead is not empty. It is filled with purpose, growth, and quiet joy. Trust me with what is coming next. I am already there. My beloved child, before we move toward the close of this sacred conversation, I want you to pause and remember this moment. Not just the words, not just the ideas. Remember how you feel right now. The steadiness in your breathing, the clarity in your thoughts, the quiet sense of being seen and understood. Anchor yourself here. There will be days ahead when emotions rise again, when circumstances feel loud, when doubts attempt to return. And in those moments, I want you to recall this stillness, this awareness that you are not alone, this truth that you are guided, protected, loved. Moments like this are not accidental. They are markers. Imagine a traveler walking a long road. Along the way, the traveler places small stones at certain points, reminders of where strength was found, where direction became clear, where courage was restored. Later, when the path feels confusing, the traveler looks back at those markers and remembers, I have walked through uncertainty before. I was sustained then. I will be sustained again. Let this be one of your markers. You have heard that you are not falling apart, but being transformed. You have been reminded that your tears matter, that your identity is secure, that you are not too late. You have been invited to lay down burdens, to trust the unknown, to stay anchored in my presence. These are not temporary comforts. They are foundations. When the noise of life tries to drown out this truth, return to it. When comparison whispers, remember that you were chosen for this time. When fear questions the future, remember that I am already there. When regret tries to pull you backward, remember that you are planted for growth, not buried in defeat. My beloved child, memory is powerful. The mind often remembers pain more easily than peace. It replays failures more vividly than victories. But you can train your heart to remember differently. You can choose to rehearse truth. Return to the image of the seed growing beneath the soil. Return to the story of the storm that did not sink you. Return to the understanding that healing is already underway. This is how you build resilience, by remembering what has already been proven. There were times in your past when you thought you would not make it through, yet you did. There were nights when anxiety felt overwhelming, yet morning still came. There were situations that seemed impossible, yet solutions unfolded. Remember that, not to glorify difficulty, but to strengthen faith. You are not the same person who first began this journey. Even within this conversation, something has shifted. You are more aware, more grounded, more open to trust. Do not let this awareness fade. Write it down if you need to. Sit in silence for a few minutes after this ends. Let these truths settle deeply. Speak them aloud in your own words. Make them personal. My beloved child, you will not avoid every future storm, but you will face them differently because of what you now know. You know that I am close. You know that you are secure. You know that growth is happening even in hidden places. You know that you are not fighting alone. Hold on to that knowledge. Remember this moment not as a fleeting emotional experience, but as a realignment, a reminder of who you are and whose you are. When doubt returns, answer it with remembrance. When fear rises, answer it with truth. When uncertainty appears, answer it with trust. This moment is a stone placed on your path, and as you continue forward, you will look back at it and say, "That was when something changed inside me." Remember this moment, my beloved child. Let it steady you long after these words fade. My beloved child, we have walked through many layers together. You have listened with an open heart. You have faced fear, released burdens, remembered your worth, and allowed hope to rise again. And now, as we come to this final moment, I want you to feel something clearly. You are not leaving this conversation alone. Everything I have spoken over you still stands. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not unworthy. You are not too late. You are loved with a steady, unshakable love. You are guided even when the path feels unclear. You are strengthened even when you feel fragile. You are protected even when battles arise. Carry these truths with you. When tomorrow brings new responsibilities, remember that you do not carry them alone. When old fears attempt to return, remember that they no longer define you. When uncertainty whispers, remember that I am already present in what you cannot yet see. You have grown. You have shifted. You have remembered who you are. Now receive this blessing. May your mind be filled with peace that steadies every anxious thought. May your heart rest in assurance that you are deeply known. May your steps be guided with clarity and courage. May your home be filled with calm. May your future unfold with purpose. And may you always remember that my presence surrounds you. Before you go, hear me one more time. This message did not reach you by accident. It is part of a greater river of light flowing to hearts across the world. When you choose to give through Super Thanks, when you become a member, or when you sow through the PayPal link placed in the description and in the QR code of this video, you are not supporting a channel. You are watering seeds in souls who are crying out for hope. I declare to you, as my word says, that when you give, it is given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Your generosity becomes oil in the lamp that keeps this light burning. This is your moment to respond in faith, not obligation. Do not let the opportunity pass quietly. Sow into this work and become part of the harvest I am raising. As you release your seed, I release blessing over your household, your finances, your health, and your future. Step forward now and give with joy. My beloved child, walk in confidence. Walk in peace. Walk in the knowledge that you are mine. I go before you. I walk beside you. I remain within you. Rest in that assurance. Amen.